Hey everyone, Andy here, and today I'm checking out the brand new Canon C700 as well as their DP-V2420 monitor. This C700 here is the evolution of the Canon Cinema series of cameras, the Cinema EOS series, C100, C300, C500, now the C700. So this camera takes the features of all those cameras, including their Mark II versions, and adds even more. So it is straightforward evolution of the line, and one that I think is really pretty impressive. So we did another video on the sort of mechanical aspects of this camera before when it first launched, and now we have a working version, so I want to sort of dive you through some of the menus and functions of the camera, and also we'll talk about how it interfaces with this monitor, the 2420, and we'll do some more focused information in another video on the 2420, a true reference HDR monitor. So diving right into the camera first, mounts. Let's talk about mounts and the sensor itself. So this is PL. The camera comes in PL or EF mount. That can be interchanged at a service facility, but one or the other. The PL version does have Cook Eye data. Take that information from many Cook Eye lenses, but you can use any PL lens on this camera, including anamorphic. It does have a de-squeeze mode in the camera. So again, it's PL standard and lots of options there. The EF version works with the whole wide variety of Canon lenses, of course, or any EF lens. It is a Canon camera, so of course you have control over iris, and you can actually read lens data from those lenses as well, of course. So works well there. I have a 17-120 lens on here. This is Cine Servo. This is a 12-pin, multi-pin interface for the camera, so I can control and run any of those servo-style lenses as well. So again, lots of lens options. In terms of sensors, there's two sensor options to start with the camera. One is a standard shutter and one's a global shutter. The global shutter is great for sports and action, but it's a little lower dynamic range and sensitivity. But if you need that, that's an option there. And then in the future, they announced that they may have future sensor upgrades, so they can possibly do something different. I can't say what that might be, but it is a future-proof camera in that way. Excited to see what Canon has up their sleeve in that capacity. So that's an option. So moving back on the camera, just looking at it as a whole, you can see it's built for both cinema as well as ENG type work, right? So it's both decked out with all the right features for a cinema camera, but it also has a control on the side here for an ENG operator, and Canon even has their shoulder pad system with VCT style quick release rosettes and rods for working like an ENG camera. So it's a little bit of both, and we'll talk about it in both capacities. So first thing for both an ENG operator as well as a cinema operator is they built the side menus here to give you quick access to assignable buttons, enabling ND filters, which is very key for many operations, adjusting iris on an EF camera, an EF lens, I should say, all there on the side. A nice addition to the assignable buttons for me is the addition of false color, which is an exposure tool. Really great add-on, in my opinion. I just love that false color. Moving back back to the camera here, you'll see I have a very familiar interface. Just one that we've all come to know and love, and that has things like frame rate, iris information, shutter speed, white balance, color adjustments, ISO, all right there, quick access. So Canon has made this camera to be very friendly, easy to get through the menus, no deep dives if you don't want to. So let's just go look a couple things real quick. Jump into the SF or FPS menu. You can see my base frame rate there. Right now set to 2997. I can go into the options here and change that. Change the base frequency, change my resolution. Of course, I can do 4K, UHD, HD. I can also choose my recording format. This camera records to CFast cards. I can record CFast in XF-AVC, which is a fantastic compression, up to 60 frames in 4K, or I can crop that and double it in HD. In ProRes, I have up to 30 frames in 4K on the cards, but that's 4K ProRes there. I also have a raw capture drive option here, so that's working with this box back here, which I happen to have. This is the Codex add-on accessory, which enables integrated raw recording in the camera. This records to the Codex capture drives up to 120 in 4K, so double that raw frame rate there. And it even gives you a little bit more resolution if you want it. The sensor itself actually has a look-around area, about 4.5K resolution, so you can actually record that with a capture drive up to 100 frames. So that's an add-on if you want it. And the last option here is the raw SDI output. You can send the raw data up to 60 frames to Convergent Design, Odyssey, or an Atomos, a variety of Atomos raw recorders that are out there. So I can send that out if I want, or I can use the capture drive. It's up to you. Or just record in good old ProRes or XF-AVC onto CFast Cards. Easy to change this here. Of course, there's deeper menus with more options, but we can set that up quite easily. I'll go ahead and go back to ProRes here. And it takes a couple seconds. And I'll back out. And back out. And then under the Activate menu here, this little side panel, I have ability to turn on my slow and fast, or overcrank, undercrank frame rates. Again, just enable it really quickly right there. Back out of there, a couple other things. Iris menu here has reads the iris from the lens. In this case, I'm reading it from the Cine Servo. Works with Cook Eye, works with EF lenses. Shutter speed, standard sort of stuff there. Shutter or angle. White balance, sort of standard white balance adjustments. I can capture a white balance, of course, or dial in sort of presets, or dial in my own white balance. So, this is sort of very standard, very normal for any Canon line of white balance adjustments. If you're used to doing it there, you're gonna see the same things here. Again, I can dial in that. I do like that they have included the ability to adjust these and select color correction for magenta green changes. So that's a nice option. Back out of there, ISO. The native ISO of the camera is 800. It's very standard. But you can change that there if I want, or go to gain if you're an ENG guy. And last here is the color menu, where you can select the sort of the recorded, internal recorded options of gamut and gamma. CFast, you can bake this into the CFast memory. Of course, the raw data is going to be raw in the full space. So here on I have presets to choose between, which would be C-Log2, C-Log3, even 709. Also can choose between C gamut and others. So go to presets here. I can select those if I want. I have a variety of options, and of course I can just do 709 or a look custom, just like a C300. Again, a little bit of both. Dial it in. So I'll go ahead and leave it on C-Log3. Back out of there. And then there's a LUT menu here as well, and this is pretty impressive. Canon has put LUTs on just about every output, right? So they have an output called video, which is the viewfinder output. They have a LUT for the HDMI output, which is independent. They have a LUT for the two monitor outputs back here, again independent, and a LUTs for the SDI outputs, which could be up to 4K and resolution output. So that's all independently addressable. And then even this SD XF-AVC, that's referring to a proxy recording that the camera has an option of. You can enable that to give you an HD proxy at the same time as your CFast recording, let's say, and you could bake a lot into that. So that's an option on the side here. So those are all addressable independently, and I can actually dial in different lookup tables. I cannot load one in just yet, but I can select from 709, 2020, which would be great for a monitor like this, DCI, ACES proxy, and they have actually added in the HDR 2084 or SMPTE PQ. This is that's sort of standard of HDR for home viewing and a variety of other things. So that LUT's baked in there. So if you plugged into a monitor like this, or really any HDR monitor, even consumer ones, you could take it'll convert that log signal, put it in HDR, and you'll get an HDR viewing experience on set. So these two work really well together that way. And actually the C500, the C300 Mark II, in the future the C700 raw data are actually supported here natively. So you send the raw data over to it, and it will be able to debury that information and show it to you and apply lookup tables right in the monitor. So that Canon raw right now works. Future support for C700. These two work together pretty seamlessly. Of course, Canon knows how to work with their cameras and make the prettiest pictures. So pretty awesome there. Okay, so that's the side panel. You also have a user assignable buttons. Hit that button, you can set up more users. Also gives you audio options. You can set up your inputs there. Time code, pretty self-explanatory. There is a time code in and out port over here, and then playback. So all pretty standard stuff on the side there. There is a deeper menu, of course, where you can get in there and really dig deep to adjust some smaller settings. Most everything's on the side panel, but the menu is there, and it's very similar to a C300 Mark II menu if you want to go into it. In terms of menu control, it's all here on the side, but Canon has an accessory to add it to the other side. So I'm going to flip around here, and this side panel accessory allows you to mount a mirror, essentially, of the side panel to the other side. So the operator and the AC can both have control. It connects via a small LEMO connection here. You can screw it onto the camera like it is, or have it handheld, or attach it somewhere else. This is full control over the camera, very essential. I really like that they've added this in here. Again, and same wheel control, very responsive. So it's a good option to have. While I'm over here, though, I'll flip this up. You'll see I have two CFast card slots. That's where my CFast is, as well as an SD card slot here, which is like that. And then here's your CFast, all right there on the side. Makes sense. Then you can select a slot there. I do have my XLR audios over here for audio input. I do two dual XLR3s or AES EBU options, standard fare line mic like you expect from Canon. Monitor outputs, which is what I talked about before, HD outputs. I have an HDMI output. I have the 4 SDI outputs also for up to 4K video output as well, or your raw data. And up here I do have a port for my Wi-Fi dongle. You can actually connect to this and control it via Wi-Fi, just like the C300s and others. And they actually even have a encoder in there, so it'll actually encode an HD signal and transmit that out too. So that's pretty cool. Up front here, and a little hard to see behind all these cables, my control connector is there, and this is my video connector for my viewfinder. I'll talk about that in a minute. This is the same connector you would see on a C300. I also have two power ports, a 2-pin LEMO 12 volt and a 3-pin 24 volt connector. This is some cinema add-ons. People want power options, of course. They've given you some more power, which I think is great. The Codex here has a P-tap on the bower plate, of course the glow mount plate, and then the IDX plate here, this is the V-mount plate, also has one. So you're going to have P-tap power, of course, but then additional power outs is always needed. So they've added that in the front. Again, that's more tourist stuff, but the camera, again, thinking more cinema mix, right? Even the top plate here, this handle they provide is just covered in quarter 20s and 3/16. Just really designed for whatever you want to do with it. And of course, third parties have great accessories already made for the 700. Okay, so that's a lot of touring around. It's pretty straightforward, but the last thing here is the viewfinder, right? So the EVF here, this is Canon's really first viewfinder for the Cinema EOS line of cameras, and it is beautiful. It's a OLED, full 1080, just really quite impressive. And it does interface with the same connector that you'd find on a C300 and others, meaning you can actually use the viewfinder in place of the screen on those cameras as well. And it has menu controls, so you can control those cameras, and assignable buttons also. So pretty awesome stuff. So they announced firmware for those cameras to allow you to support this viewfinder Again, you got to see it to believe it. It's hard to get an idea of how good it is till you look at it. So a great viewfinder. The signables are nice. It really is a great upgrade to the Cinema EOS line, and one that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Same image quality that we expect from Canon, of course. If not better, they just keep upping their game here. And that look, Canon look we all know and love, it's right there in the camera. If you want to match to your existing Canon line, you have that. Or if you just want a new, beautiful 4K master, this is an option too. So excited to see this Canon C700, of course. We'll have it in our showrooms soon enough. We'll have some demo days coming up as well, so look for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.